the air. We think on planet Earth, it feels like the surface of the sun, with extreme temperatures here and there and everywhere, with new records, new fires. President Biden's trying to do something about climate change since Congress won't, but he's not going quite as far as some people want. We're live here and over in London, where everybody's just trying to stay cool. And talk about mixed messages in this crazy housing market. Sales are slowing down, but prices are smoking hot, record highs, more expensive than ever. So what's going on? Should anybody try to buy a house now? We've got a reality check. Plus, airlines are trying to speed up training to look at this pilot shortage, but one very famous captain worries it's not safe. Why the man behind the miracle on the Hudson is raising some new red flags. And in tonight's original, we take you to Florida, where babies and kids are waiting for weeks to get their first COVID shots. Why some parents are blaming the state's governor. And an NBC News exclusive. Righting a century-old wrong at Bruce's Beach out in California. How that land is now back where it belongs. We're going to bring that to you later on in the show. Hey, I'm Hallie. And it's hot as hell. It's hot and it's humid and you're probably sweaty and I'm sweaty. And yeah, it's summer and it's always hot, but not like this. This is scary hot, right? This is dangerous hot. This is wildfires breaking out constantly hot. Pretty much every day, everywhere, there's some new record for some towns' hottest temperature. This is life or death hot. Okay, look at this map. If you're in purple, good luck. We're shooting way past 100 in Houston, in Fresno, in Oklahoma City. And it's not just these so-called desert places. My people here in Washington, we might see 100 degrees on Sunday for the first time in 6 years. 2 out of every 3 of you right now streaming this show are sitting in 90-plus degrees as we speak. That's 219 million Americans. That's so many of us. Check out these pups in Philly. They're sitting in pools to try to stay cool. This is a city that actually just declared a heat health emergency with temperatures at 98. And the whole thing's putting a real strain on the power grid. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Now Texas is expecting another record. Our Sam Brock, who's there, reports that how much the state is using, it's double New York or California right now. And it's not like your power bill's particularly awesome. The cost this summer, $540. That's up 20% from last year. Here's what folks in Dallas, right in the middle of it, are saying.
This is the hottest summer that I've seen in Dallas, really, that I remember since 1980.
It feels like a furnace. Yeah, it feels really hot.
It feels like I want to die.
Okay, so that is hyperbole, of course, yes. But here's the thing. Over in Europe, this heat really is deadly. Portugal is reporting more than 1,000 deaths linked to this heat wave. And then there's the fires. Look at some video we're getting out of Spain tonight. Okay, that's the sky. That is not a color that sky is normally supposed to be. There's still a bunch of fires in London, like at the apartment building we're about to show you right here. And it's outbreaks like this one we've seen in the last 24 hours. It has the city's mayor saying the fire brigade has not been this busy since World War II. Think about that. In Greece, look at this here. This is near a children's hospital right outside Athens. And experts all say the same thing. This is a climate crisis. So what are we doing about it? Well, President Biden is trying, kind of on his own, with an executive order hoping to tackle climate change. We're going to talk about that a little bit more with Mike Memoli in a second. And we'll get the look overseas with Matt Bradley, who is live for us. But let's start here at home. Jay Gray is in Dallas, where, Jay, you're sitting in a sweet 100-plus temperatures again. You know, we heard from that kid. It does feel like we are inches from the sun at this moment. This extreme heat is a big deal.
Hallie, it's unbelievable. I just checked 107 right now here in downtown Dallas. I've never been to the surface of the sun, but I can't argue with the kid. It sure feels hot here. I'm sure that he's got a point. Look, we're supposed to reach 108 today. That's down from the last 2 days where we topped out at 109, and 10-day forecast shows temperatures at 100 or more. You said it's going to be 100 in D.C. this week. That'd be a break here. We've seen 6, now 7 days, 105 or better here. That's just extreme heat. And like you said earlier, it's heat that humans aren't meant to deal with, to say it very bluntly. So what you have here is a lot of people just staying inside. You've got splash pads like this one in pools, but even the water gets hot at some point. The end of summer break for kids, you know, most of them love to spend their summer here in Texas playing ball. They don't even want to do that right now. Listen.
My favorite sport is like football and basketball, so I can't play those anymore. And I get in my pool every single night.
Why can't you play?
Because it's so hot outside.
so hot you can't play.
Yeah, I don't want to practice at these.
Yeah, I mean, Texas knows hot, Hallie, but this is even unusual for Texans.
And that's the point, Jay. It is not breaking news that summer is hot, right? We're not ridiculous. Like, this is out of the norm. And the reason why it is such a concern is because of issues like with the power grid in Texas. And yes, things seem okay right now, but it's not like they have a lot of margin, right?
No, not at all. The power grid's always a worry here in Texas, whether it be winter or summer. They've already issued pleas for people to back off and not use as much power. But yesterday, they broke for the 10th time this year a usage daily record. That could happen again today, according to those who run the system. And so power usage is higher than it's ever been. A big concern that some are going to be left without power. Add that to the fact that there is water main breaks across this area because the ground is so hot that it's shifting and cracking and breaking those pipes.
Can you talk about another piece of this, Jay, that I think is really interesting and important for folks to know? And that's the fact that overnight, right? Like when I grew up, we had like a central fan, kind of like we didn't have air conditioning, and we'd pull it, and at night the cool air would come in. There is no cool air overnight in the overnight hours, and that's another layer of strain here right now.
It's zero, and that's why the power usage is so high. I went out last night, 10 o'clock, it was 98 degrees. 98 degrees at 10 o'clock in the evening. It's unbelievable.
Jay Gray, live for us here in Dallas. Jay, thank you so much. I want to turn to Matt Bradley now in London. And Matt, we've seen some video from the UK and the Greece of these fires, which seems to be a major concern in Europe at the moment. Talk through the latest on the fight against them.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing throughout Europe, they're doing the same exact thing that you would see in the U.S. They're creating fire breaks. They're dumping water onto these fires, using helicopters, and they're fighting them in the conventional way. That's all in southern Europe, where actually they are used to fighting wildfires and forest fires like they are in the States. But here in Britain, they're not used to that at all. You know, Miami and Florida, they're not used to fighting snowstorms. And here in Britain, this is new. It's that freaky of an event. And so we're starting to hear, just today, we heard from some of the firemen's unions saying, we need some of this equipment. Things are changing here. This is the new reality. We need those helicopters that dump water. This is like California, or like the fires we see in the movies. Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, said, we need to take this seriously. He actually said, it's like California. It's like what you see in the movies. This is the new reality for Britain, and it's chilling for a lot of people here who just aren't used to extreme weather at all, Hallie. You know, I got to tell you, the weather here is normally as mild and measured as the British public.
I love the way that you phrase that, Matt Bradley. There's also this economic piece of the puzzle, too, right? So it's not just how people feel and the discomfort and the fires. It's also this slowdown from a financial perspective. In Italy, you have farmers that say each fire costs like $25,000 an acre. Okay, wheat production. This stuff that, like, some people don't think about where they get the things that are on the grocery store shelves. This is going to have an impact.
Yeah, and there's also another really interesting confluence of events that's going on here, Hallie, which is that we're talking about at the same time as, especially with Germany, talking about all of these forest fires and this extreme heat. All of these European capitals are also worried about the winter, about the extreme cold that's about to happen, and the knock-on effects from the fighting in Ukraine and the efforts by the Europeans in order to block off their reliance of energy on Russia. So a lot of people on the left, a lot of environmentalists are saying, look, we've got two things going on here that we can actually work together. We have an increase in temperatures, a clear environmental effects throughout the European continent on the one hand, and then we have a restraining and a constraining of resources for fossil fuels from Russia and the political imperative to cut that off. On the other hand, why not do this hand in hand? Why not finally wean ourselves off of fossil fuels, bring ourselves to a cleaner fuel, and try to fight climate change now that there's some political impetus behind it? Well, we might see, but the fact is that they're doing some of the same stuff here, a lot of the same talking that we're hearing from the Biden administration. They need to bring down prices for oil and other fossil fuels because they're sky high right now, even as they're fighting climate change and even as the need to fight climate change becomes so incredibly clear. Hallie?
Matt Bradley, thank you, because you're teeing us up so nicely for the next discussion with one of our colleagues. Matt, thank you. And that's Mike Memoli, because with everything we've talked about with this heat, what Matt just talked about as it relates to the fight on the climate crisis over in the UK, well, guess what? Happening here in the U.S. President Biden showing up at a former coal power plant in Massachusetts, by the way, where it was like 91 degrees today. And he's talking about how urgent this climate crisis is. Listen.
Climate change is literally an existential threat to our nation and to the world. So my message today is this. Since Congress is not acting as it should, and these guys here are, but we're not getting many Republican votes, this is an emergency.
Mike Memoli is posted up for us at the White House. Okay, Mem, so here's what this executive order does that President Biden was rolling out today. It's going to boost the offshore wind industry. It's going to help low-income folks with energy at home. It's going to give a bunch of money to communities that are facing really extreme heat. President Biden is calling this an emergency, but, Mem, he is not officially declaring a national emergency. And there is a distinction that is important there to activists and people who want to see the president do more on climate. Talk about why he's stopping short of what they'd like to see.
Well, Hallie, the state of our union is emergency. That's the view of a lot of Democrats, whether it's climate for sure, also gun rights, abortion, voting rights, you name it. And so this White House has really been weighed down by the view among especially activists that he is not doing enough to meet the urgency of this moment. So, yes, you did hear the president say today this is an emergency. This is a clear and present danger. But why isn't he making that technical designation of an emergency? Here's sort of what White House officials tell me. They fall into a couple buckets. One is a lot of the authorities that would be unlocked by the declaration of an emergency, the White House feels like they've already done. If you look at what the Congressional Progressive Caucus, for instance, is recommending, invoking the Defense Production Act, the president has already done that twice as it relates to climate, specifically to try to boost solar manufacturing here in the U.S. The other concern that the White House is articulating is really that Donald Trump, the former president, invoked emergencies as an end run around Congress. This is a president who ran against that view, which he felt was straining the constitutional limits of executive authority. So they don't want to follow that example, and they want to be very targeted and clear about what he is using authorities for. Yes, the White House says it would be easy to declare an emergency, but they want to be very coherent and clear about what they're doing it for, not to really stretch and allow Republicans to do more down the road.
The president was also really clear that, you know, he's kind of pointing the finger at Congress, right? Like Congress didn't do more, as you're pointing out here. And while we can say Congress, perhaps more accurately, it would be for President Biden, it's one senator. It's one Democrat. It's Joe Manchin from West Virginia, who is now, as we've talked about, doing this 180. He's not going to budge on climate spending here. The president wants a policy win here, right, ahead of the midterms, especially with where his approval rating is at, as we're learning more about today, Mem.
Yeah, and if you notice, though, what the president did in his remarks in Massachusetts, he focused not on one Democratic senator, but on one political party, Republicans,
that's right,
which he said were standing in the way. And that's an effort on the part of the White House to try to reframe this discussion away from a circular firing squad and to focus on the alternative, as Biden would put it, not the almighty. And that is really important because if you look at the new Quinnipiac poll today, the president is at his lowest point yet, 31% approval among voters overall. Just 71%. I say just 71% because within your own party, you need to be a lot higher than that. And really concerning 21% of young voters. And Hallie, I want to cite another set of numbers from this Quinnipiac poll. You know I love my crosstabs. As it relates to the question about 2024, just 40% of Democrats in this Quinnipiac poll said they want Joe Biden to seek a second term. Compare that to 69% of Republicans who want Donald Trump to seek another term. That's dangerous territory for this administration.
Mike Memoli, lover of the crosstab, our chief polling correspondent, live for us there on the North Lawn. Mem, thank you. Good to see you.
Got it.
Let's talk about what else is going down in Washington, because in just the last hour or so, right as we were getting ready for the show, we found out from sources telling NBC News more about this discussion over Secret Service text messages related to the attack at the Capitol, right? Messages from January 5th, January 6th, that the January 6th Select Committee wants to see. They want to know, what was the Secret Service talking about at the time that this happened? Well, it turns out sources are telling us that the Secret Service got a third email, right? They got not one, not two, but 3 email reminders, at least one of them before January 6th, right, to save records on their phones, including text messages. 2 of those messages came before they went ahead with this planned reset, this migration, apparently. So let me just put it into plain English here. Basically what happens is the Secret Service reset their phones after January 6th. They were planning to. They were like upgrading their software. Do you do that at home? A lot of people do. What happens when you upgrade your phone sometimes? Everything goes back to factory settings. You lose all your data. That's a problem now for the January 6th Select Committee. They want to see those documents, those text messages that are apparently now gone. Okay, the committee was releasing a statement right before we came on the air tonight saying, like, you got to do this, basically. They're saying you may have broken the Federal Records Act that forces the Secret Service. It says every federal agency has to save records. The committee's like, hey, Secret Service, you didn't do that. The Secret Service is like, it was an accident. We didn't mean to. We reset these documents. We reset our phones. We're trying to figure this out now. They're trying to go back and see if they can re-access some of this information. But right now, they don't exist. OK, let me bring in Hallie Raffa. So, Hallie, that is the landscape for the Secret Service discussion that we're happening. The committee thinks this may have broken a law. Tell us why this matters, big picture, and more about what we're hearing from both the Secret Service and the committee here.
Yeah, Hallie, well, all of these points that you raised in your intro there bring up huge questions that are swirling here on Capitol Hill. Was this intentional? Was this malicious? Was this some sort of really poorly timed technology error? And so this is something that, as you mentioned in that statement that the committee put out, the committee is extremely determined to find the answers to. They even added a quote that every effort must be made to retrieve the lost data as well. A couple of points make this sweep really even more confusing. Not only, as you mentioned, were those employees reminded 3 separate times to back up their data, there were also 4 separate congressional committees that requested the preservation of data between December 8th and January 7th by the Secret Service. That was more than a week before that pre-planned sweep took effect. So there was time in place to be able to prevent anything from happening. That's another thing committee members are asking. Why wasn't agency leadership really alarmed and pushed the brakes on this, possibly postponed this pre-planned sweep? Also, why were agency officials really left in charge of having the discretion to preserve these historical records from such an important day in the country's history, Hallie?
We're also getting a lot of new information here on looking ahead to what we expect to hear in this primetime hearing tomorrow night. We will be obviously having coverage here on NBC News Now. We'll be covering it. I'll see you over on the network side. We'll play it here. 187 minutes, that's what they're calling it, right? The focus on exactly what went down as the Capitol attack was unfolding. We're learning now a couple of pieces of information, how long it is expected to be, the fact that they do not think this is going to be the final public hearing, which is interesting, and then this discussion about what might we hear, not just about Donald Trump, right, but about former Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, too.
Yeah, we had a briefing earlier with committee members and committee staffers, and they said that there's a possibility we could hear more about former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows' role before, during, and after January 6th, what he knew in the days leading up to the violence at the Capitol, what he was telling the president at the time about the violence at the Capitol. That's when we're expecting to hear more of that pre-recorded testimony from former White House counsel Pat Cipollone that we heard from Cassidy Hutchinson in her testimony, really how vocal of an opponent Cipollone was to really Meadows' inaction in what was going on in and around the White House before, during, and after January 6th. So there's a lot the committee has on its to-do list. We know that there's 2 witnesses, the former deputy press secretary, former deputy national security advisor, who were very personally impacted by the events on January 6th, both saying that the events that day were the reason that they resigned from their position. So a lot that the committee is going to cover in this hearing during primetime tomorrow. But again, the committee wrapping this all up, tying this connective tissue together with what happened at the Capitol, the attack on the Capitol, with the president's inaction during those 187 minutes inside the White House, Hallie.
Hallie Raffa live for us on Capitol Hill. Hallie, I'm sure we're going to be talking to you again tomorrow. I know you'll be ready to go on what is going to be a big day. Appreciate it. As we mentioned, special coverage of the hearing tomorrow night starts at 7:30 Eastern right here on NBC News Now. As we talk about January 6th, let's also keep our eyes on what's happening at a courtroom down in Fulton County, Georgia. That's because that is where former President Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, has been ordered to testify. They're saying, hey, you got to show up in front of our grand jury in Georgia that's looking into this push to try to overturn the legitimate results of the 2020 election. A New York judge put this order in place after Giuliani skipped a hearing last week to challenge a subpoena for his testimony in this whole investigation. That subpoena says Giuliani lied about widespread voter fraud in that state. A lawyer for Giuliani did not immediately respond to NBC News' request for comment, but we'll be watching to see if he shows up next month, as he's been ordered to. New tonight, an interview you will only see right here on NBC News. One-on-one with Ukrainian First Lady Olena Zelenska, telling our own Peter Alexander just how hard it is to be a parent in this war against Russia. Getting personal, talking about what this means to her family, and specifically what this means for her own son. Watch a little piece of this.
Then only thing he wants to do is martial arts and how to use a rifle.
A conversation with Peter coming after the First Lady's emotional speech to Congress today, showing just gut-wrenching pictures of families, of kids who have been killed by these Russian missile attacks. She was basically begging members of Congress, begging lawmakers for more help. Watch.
I am asking for weapons that would not be used to wage a war on somebody else's land, but to protect one's home and the right to wake up alive in that home.
And you know the reaction over in Ukraine tonight? They're praising their First Lady for focusing on the human impact of this war, what this means for families personally in this country. Let me bring in our chief White House correspondent, Peter Alexander, who is bringing us this exclusive tonight, and I know more tomorrow. Peter, so this is her first trip outside of Ukraine since the war started. She's coming to the United States, and with you, she was really, I think, getting personal about what this means for Ukrainian families like hers.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right, Hallie. This was an emotional, a powerful conversation. As you say, it's the first time she's been away from her own children, an 18-year-old daughter, a 9-year-old son. Of course, she constantly worries about them and, of course, about her husband, the President Zelensky, who's become such a courageous figure, the image of bravery around the world right now. I heard from the First Lady that, you know, in her position, she's used to talking about social issues, about health care and education, that she never wanted to make this trip, to make the ask for more weapons from the United States and, frankly, from the world, something she never wished for, never wanted for. But she said, in fact, that sort of is her soft power. That is the weapon in her arsenal, the ability to touch other humans with the experience that so many in her home country are having right now. She had a chance to meet with the Bidens just yesterday, the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, the president surprising her with flowers and a brief greeting as well, describing them as real friends. And she did become quite personal in detailing her worries about the children of her country, including her own son.
What does your son dream of? What does he want to be?
Obviously, he wants to be a soldier.
He wants to be a soldier.
Obviously.
That's what all Ukrainian boys must dream of now.
I think yes.
What does that make you think as a mom?
Знаєте, перед війною
You know, before the war, my son used to go to the folk dance ensemble. He played piano, he learned English, he, of course, attended sports club. And now I cannot bring him back to doing arts and humanities. Then only thing he wants to do is martial arts and how to use a rifle. And that's what I really want to ensure, is that the childhood of my son is given back to him and that he enjoys his life to the fullest.
The words of Olena Zelenska, the First Lady of Ukraine. And Hallie, what also struck me in this conversation here is that she says she really worries about the mental health, not just the physical health, but the mental health of the people of Ukraine, that there's a stigma attached with asking for help. But she's delivering that message that it shows strength, it shows bravery and courage to ask for help. Hallie.
I'm just so struck by some of her messaging to you, Peter, and elsewhere that, like, it is not normal in Ukraine. Here in the United States, people are going on their summer vacations. They're going to go back to school in the fall. They're getting their kids maybe vaccinated against COVID, whatever the case may be. It's not anything like that in Ukraine, right? She doesn't even know if her kids are going to go back to school come the fall. And I wonder how much that played a part of your conversation and how much politically you see her appearance here in Washington as maybe a game changer for more aid to the country.
Well, that's exactly right. I think she does hope to help get more aid for her country. $40 billion most recently promised by the United States that should take Ukraine at least until September. But she indicated, she said, do not forget this war. This is not over. Don't forget about us right now. And as she spoke about the children, obviously that's so personal to her. She spoke about some of those who will have to have limbs amputated that they lost due to Russian attacks. They're working with American doctors to get prosthetics. And whether she was open to Ukraine ever giving away land to Russia so that there could be peace between the two countries. She said it's like letting an invader into your home. They destroy your home, they harm members of your family, and then you're asked to give them the living room and live side by side in peace. She said there are ways this war will end. That's not one of them.
Peter Alexander, live for us with that exclusive interview. Peter, thank you so much for bringing that to us. And we're going to look for more tonight on NBC Nightly News, tonight at 6:30 Eastern on your local NBC station. Just a few hours from now, the ESPY Awards expected to have a big moment honoring WNBA star Britney Griner. She is not going to be there, and you know why, because she is locked up still in a prison in Russia for allegedly having these cannabis vape cartridges. She's pleaded guilty to that. The show, the ESPYs, set to shine even more of a national spotlight on what the U.S. government calls the wrongful detainment of Griner. Steph Curry's hosting. Earlier today, we saw Griner's family and her legal team set up 3 big mobile billboards that say, "Bring Britney home." BG should be here. You see that one right there? They've been driving all around Hollywood ahead of the ESPYs. And then here on the East Coast in D.C. today, the group Bring Our Families Home unveiled a mural that includes Griner and 17 other Americans who are being held hostage or who are wrongfully detained abroad. Pressure is building to get these people home. I want to bring in Maggie Vespa to talk about this. So, Maggie, we showed Steph Curry. He's the host this year of the ESPYs. The executives of ESPN say that this tribute to Griner is going to be an important moment of reflection in this show. I have to think, and I've talked with Megan Rapinoe, for example, a high-profile athlete, about Britney Griner. She told me it's so important for people like her, high-profile athletes, to keep BG's name out there.
Totally. And the ESPYs are a huge platform for that, obviously, an audience of millions every year. And executives at ESPN have been really specific that a lot of the athletes and the presenters, you know, they have a lot of latitude as to what they want to talk about, what causes they want to shine spotlights on. And Steph Curry in particular, they said, really wants to talk about Britney Griner. He's a huge name. Also, LeBron James, another massive name, shining a spotlight on this, keeping the spotlight on it. He recently appeared on the YouTube series The Shop, and he said, among other things, from his perspective, from Griner's viewpoint, he said it must look like there's been, quote, zero effort on the part of the U.S. to bring her home. Hallie.
Part of the thing here, too, is that the spotlight on Griner, because she is such a celebrity, because there is this building pressure on the Biden administration, on the White House, to do more to get her out, it's shining the light on other families who have people who are wrongfully detained. We showed that mural. We showed that event. Talk a little bit about that, about how this one high-profile case is kind of doing more for others potentially, too.
Definitely. Some of these cases definitely, you know, make a bigger splash in the news. But as you see, they're far from the only ones. According to the group Bring Our Families Home, who unveiled that mural today, 64 Americans are being held hostage or wrongfully detained around the world. So that mural, as you said, I think it has Britney Griner plus 17 others. They wanted to kind of show those faces more. And today at that unveiling in D.C., the U.S. Special Envoy for Hostage Affairs spoke on this issue. Take a listen.
The president knows every single case. He's interested in them. He's briefed all the time by Secretary Blinken. And Secretary Blinken, of course, is the person I report to. And I brief Secretary Blinken all the time. So there's a good chain in terms of what we do at the State Department and the connectivity at the White House to where the president knows what's going on. He knows about this mural today.
And a final note on Griner's case, by the way, of course, in Russia, her defense team asked the judge last week for more time to prepare their defense, and the judge granted them that time. So that court has been adjourned until the 26th, meaning it will resume on Tuesday. Hallie.
Maggie Vespa, thank you so much. Appreciate you being with us. Here in Washington, an update on this House bill that would protect same-sex marriage all across the country. On the Senate side, because, you know, it can't become law until the Senate passes it, too. The top Democrat there says, yes, he wants to bring it up for a vote. We just don't know when. Majority Leader Chuck Schumer saying he was, in his words, really impressed by how many Republicans supported this thing in the House, 47 of them. He doesn't know, nobody really knows, if there's enough support in the Senate for that. The only consensus, there is no consensus on whether or not there would be enough votes to codify protections for same-sex marriage. Just within the last couple hours, I spoke with Jim Obergefell, the lead plaintiff in that Supreme Court case that legalized same-sex marriage in 2015. He had a message for some of those Senate Republicans who are either non-committal or sounding skeptical of this. Watch. Do you believe that same-sex marriage and the Supreme Court decision that has your name on it is settled law, or is it under threat?
It is absolutely under threat. To the Senate Republicans, you claim to be a pro-family party. This is your chance to prove that. Prove that you are pro-family. Prove that all families matter, whether or not those families look like yours.
It's not just same-sex marriage. We know the House is planning to take up a similar bill, planning to vote tomorrow on something that would codify the right to birth control, to contraceptive access across the country. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi calling it critical for the next generation. We'll watch that. Got a lot more coming up for you here on the show, including an update on Daily Harvest saying it's figured out what caused hundreds of customers to get sick, what they're saying about this one specific ingredient. Plus, there may be a vacation rental offer that movie fans just can't refuse. But there's a catch. We've got details on a famous, soon-to-be listed mansion coming up in the local. New numbers out today are telling us why homebuyers or potential homebuyers are getting crushed right now. And if you want to buy a house, this may not feel like news to you, but there's some new numbers out on this. Sales are down more than 5% since May. And not as many people are asking for mortgages. In fact, the demand for mortgages, it's the lowest it's been in more than 2 decades because interest rates are going up. Okay, so fewer people are looking to buy a house, but prices are still bananas high, record high. The median price, $416,000. One realtor is telling our Emily Aketa that people aren't even showing up to look at houses.
I went into the weekend with 12 active listings, and I had 0 showings between 12 active listings, priced from $325,000 to $3.2 million.
I mean, that's wild to think about when you think about where the real estate market has been. So let me bring in CNBC's real estate correspondent, Diana Olick, to break this all down. So help us understand this, Diana. This, sales are slowing down, mortgage rates are up, but prices are still really expensive. Like, how should we be understanding, like, the housing bubble right now?
I know it sounds like a head scratcher, right, Hallie? You would think that prices would be coming down faster, but it's still that same supply and demand issue in the market. You are seeing prices start to ease. That is, you're not going to see these crazy 20% gains that we've been seeing in the last year or so. You're seeing them come back to 13%, soon maybe 10%, soon maybe 5 or 4. I don't expect them to really drop nationally, and that's simply because there is a lot of demand in the market. You have millennials aging into their home buying years, and you still have a very short supply of homes for sale, and the builders aren't building much more either. So supply and demand, it actually still works in this market.
I think about my friend group, though, Dana, like my peers, right? People around my age, mid to late 30s, who, like, if you don't have a house, it feels impossible to buy a house, right? It feels like such a huge hurdle to get to some place where you can even enter the housing market. So what are people supposed to do right now if they do want to get a house with the mortgage rates where they are and the prices where they are?
Well, first of all, they have to look at their finances really clearly and see, number one, if they can afford it. And if they can at a certain price point, they should also know that it's not as competitive as it was even 6 weeks ago. I'll say that again. Even 6 weeks ago. I spoke to a seller this morning who listed his house 6 weeks ago, thought that it would sell in a nanosecond because everything else around him had been selling a couple of months before, and he's still waiting for an offer. And you know what he said to me? He said, I want buyers to know that I won't be offended if you offer me a little more than 5% less or something. He said, just somebody make me an offer. He didn't say that he was going to fire sale the place. It's a nice house in a nice area, but he did say he's willing to take less, and buyers should know that.
That's interesting. Talk about then how the Fed plays into this, because they're expected to raise interest rates next week. How does that play into stabilizing where the housing market is right now?
Well, so as you know, Fed rates do not mean mortgage rates. So a lot of people think that mortgage rates follow the Fed. They actually follow something very complicated that I won't get into. But what the Fed does by raising interest rates is it tries to stabilize the economy. It tries to lower inflation. And that, in turn, could help the overall market because it could help consumers get more cash back in, be able to afford a little more. Mortgage rates, though, I don't think they're going down anytime soon. They could move a little bit higher. Historically speaking, they're not that high right now.
I was going to say,
when we look at how high prices are, I know, not you talk about your age group, my age group, which I was buying houses a long time ago. My first mortgage rate was 9.5%. My dad helped me get it. He negotiated. He thought it was great. He thought it was great at 9%. But given where prices are, we will see the market stabilize. And hopefully, if prices cool off a bit, the Fed could help in that, not so much in the actual mortgage rate.
It's hugely important and helpful context. Dan Olick, always great to see you and to have your expertise here on the show. Thank you. Let's get you over to the 5 things our team thinks you should know about tonight. Number 1, lawmakers in Sri Lanka voted in a new president today, a former prime minister. But the protesters who forced out the previous government, they're not too thrilled about this new guy either. They see him as an ally of the people who were just in charge. The country's been in this crisis, dealing with major food, fuel, medicine shortages. We're keeping an eye on that. Number 2, new data from the CDC found that overdose deaths jumped 30% in 2020, the biggest increase ever. The rate was most dramatic among Black and Indigenous people, up 44% and 39% respectively. The CDC found people in those communities reported significant barriers to substance abuse treatment. In other words, they found it a lot harder to try to get help for their issue. Number 3, a federal appeals court in Georgia says the state's law banning most abortion after 6 weeks should be allowed to go into effect. Lawmakers there passed this in 2019, but a federal judge eventually blocked it, saying the law was unconstitutional. The appeals court, unsurprisingly, cited the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe versus Wade in its ruling, so now that's expected to go into effect in Georgia sometime this summer. And number 4, remember when we told you about the hundreds of people who said they were getting sick from the Daily Harvest French lentil and leek crumble? Well, now we know why. The company says terra flour was the problem, and that it only used terra flour, this one ingredient, in this one very specific type of meal. The company recalled all of these crumbles after customers complained and says it's working with the FDA to investigate. It's not clear what about this ingredient made people sick. Some of people got so sick they had to have their gallbladders removed. This was a big deal. Number 5. Elsewhere in our 5 things, Ivana Trump laid to rest in New York City today. Her ex-husband, former President Donald Trump, and their kids were all in attendance, Eric, Ivanka, and Don Jr. Ivana Trump died suddenly last week at the age of 73. Her death has been ruled an accident. When we come back, one airline says its pilot academy is so good that graduates should be able to fly planes sooner, but some of aviation's biggest names are not on board. We're getting into it with Tom Costello next. One airline's plan to speed up pilot training to help with these big staffing shortages seems to be running into some buzzsaws. And one big name who's not a fan? Captain Sully Sullenberger, the hero of the Miracle on the Hudson. He says this plan tries to, in his words, water down the standards for pilots. So why is he so bothered by this? We're talking about Republic Airways. It's kind of like a regional shuttle, right? They want their graduates to qualify for a commercial license with only 750 flight hours. Okay, this is a pilot academy, 750 flight hours. That's half the hours required now for non-military pilots. We've been talking about pilot shortages a lot in the news. If you've been trying to fly, I would not be surprised if you had a flight canceled or delayed or had some issue with it. We've seen a lot of that since summer travel ramped up. The U.S. is going to need more than 14,000 new pilots every year for the next 10 years. That's a lot of people to get trained up and ready to go. I want to bring in Tom Costello, who's joining us now. So Republic is petitioning the FAA for this pretty big change. Talk about the case they're making for why their pilots should get a license faster.
So Republic Airways may not be a household name to you, but chances are you flew them because they fly the regional flights for American and Delta as well as United, mostly on the East Coast. They are a big operation, the second biggest regional airline in the country. And they are making the case that their pilot training academy, where they take people with no experience, put them all the way through the program, and then graduate them, that they are, and with a little more training, they would be as well trained as the military's pilots. And as a result, they are making the argument that they should be allowed to fly on just to go into a commercial cockpit with just 750 hours. And as you detailed, the FAA requires 1,500 hours. Now, you may say, wait a minute, how is a possible Republic, the small commercial or rather regional airline, would offer training as good as the military's? Yeah, that's what Captain Sully Sullenberger is doubting. And this is kind of getting widespread opposition. Airlines are really against this right now. The unions are against it, the FAA, while the petition is being before them, the FAA is also not on board with them. But here's their point, and it's important to make sure we're clear on this. Republicans saying, listen, if you go to a typical flight school, you want to become a pilot, you go through the hours, and then you have to accumulate 1,500 hours, and so you do kind of circle eights over a cornfield, or you fly and you pull a banner behind you. That's how you get your hours. Republicans saying, wait a minute, we offer far more disciplined and precise instruction on what it takes to become a pilot for us, and therefore our training is much more robust and should be essentially exempted from the current FAA rules on this.
So, Tom, as you're laying out, this is a fairly controversial idea in the world of aviation, right? What are the chances that the FAA goes along with what Republic wants, especially after, people might remember that crash in Buffalo in 2009. Congress actually boosted the requirements for pilots then.
Yeah, and let's make it clear that Colgan Air crash in Buffalo in 2009, both of the pilots had more than 1,500 hours, but most of the investigation found that they were simply not up to the standards of what we need in pilots. Anyway, the FAA right now is apparently not on board. Here's the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg.
Right now, we have these kinds of requirements based on safety judgments, and I haven't seen any change in the safety rationale for that.
All right, so the petition is before the FAA, but right now this seems unlikely. Ultimately, it would have to go to Congress. Congress would have to change their own law.
Tom Costello, it's a fascinating look at some of the machinations of the way that airlines are looking to help travelers and also balance safety. It's really important. Tom Costello, thank you. Good to see you. Appreciate it.
You too.
Coming up here on the show, one Florida mom says she felt rage, fury, waiting weeks to get her kids vaccinated when other kids across the country were able to get COVID shots, why the vaccine was so hard to find specifically in her state, and why this guy, she says, played a part. Plus, Alec Murdaugh pleading not guilty to killing his wife and son today. He says he thinks their killer or killers are still out there. That's next in The Local. NBC News covers hundreds of stories every day. And because you couldn't possibly read or watch or listen to them all, our bureau teams have done it for you. This is what they tell us is going down in their regions in a segment we call The Local. From our Southeast Bureau, former South Carolina attorney Alec Murdaugh pleaded not guilty to killing his wife and son today. Murdaugh's defense asked the judge to deny him bond. He can't post it anyway, and he wants to get on with his trial. He wants to do it fast because he apparently thinks that the killer or killers of his family are still out there. The prosecution says all the evidence points to Murdaugh's guilt in their deaths. Murdaugh also faces like 80 other charges, including stealing money from clients and running a money laundering and drug ring. From our West Coast Bureau, California officials say a man's border collie acted like a true lassie, leading rescue teams right to its owner, who fell 70 feet out in Tahoe in like a pretty remote area. This guy's 53. He says he thought he broke his hip and his ribs when he fell. He managed to get to cell phone service and call for help, but the people looking for him couldn't find him until here comes new Lassie running up to them, bringing them to the owner. Incredible story. The man's at a hospital now for treatment, but it's amazing what our pets do for us, huh? From our New York Bureau, in celebration of The Godfathers, the movie 50th anniversary, a Staten Island mansion used in the movie is going to be on Airbnb. There's a catch, though. It's only available for one party of up to 5 guests for the month of August for $1,500, about $50 a night. So you got to do it all in one shot. Get your friends, pool your cash if you want to stay at the Godfather house. That's tonight's original now, with in-depth reporting on a topic we've been keeping an eye on. The second COVID booster is available to anybody who wants it, right, above the age of 50, or anybody 12 and older with a weaker immune system. And with this latest surge, you've got the Biden administration trying to decide whether or not to make a second booster more available to more people. At the same time, you've got some babies, some young kids who haven't even gotten their first vaccines at all yet, even though those have been greenlit too. Specifically, we're talking about Florida, where wait lists at some pediatricians' offices are weeks long. And some folks there are pointing the finger at Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Why? Because he was the only governor who refused to pre-order the vaccines to have them ready to go. NBC's Isa Gutierrez has the story.
Today, a sigh of relief for the Comegys family in Florida.
Are you guys ready to get your vaccine?
Yeah!
After waiting for weeks, Ashley Comegye's 4- and 1-year-old boys got their COVID vaccines.
When the doctor told us that we weren't going to be able to get it immediately, it just felt like one more kind of punch to the gut of like our family is still kind of stuck.
I know that wasn't Allie. Yeah. While seeing the news of kids getting vaccinated in other parts of the country, Comegye says her pediatrician's office told her that in Florida there'd be delays.
Because they were not able to have access to the system to pre-enroll for the vaccine, that when the state did finally open it up to say, okay, now you guys can order this yourself, essentially our state, Florida, was at the end of the line.
She says she was put on a wait list and told she might have to wait a month. Florida is the only state to not pre-order vaccines for children under 5 from the federal government, and to explicitly advise against vaccinating the age group against COVID. Their stance has been no secret from the beginning.
The risks outweigh the benefits, and we recommend against. We are not going to have any programs where we're trying to jab 6-month-old babies with mRNA.
We reached out to DeSantis for comment on delays in access to the shots. His office did not comment and referred us to the Florida Department of Health. Per state guidance, state and county health personnel in Florida will not administer COVID-19 vaccines to children under the age of 5.
This created a big problem, especially in underserved communities, where many families who don't have a medical home, they seek their vaccinations at health departments.
It created just this level of rage for me internally.
A spokesperson for the Florida Department of Health told NBC News in part that, quote, pre-ordering does not mean anyone gets the vaccine any faster, and that providers, quote, can order vaccines and they've been able to do so once the vaccine is authorized, adding the demand for children's COVID vaccines is low in Florida and the rest of the country.
We have to order through the state.
Dr. Lisa Gwynn in Miami says the state's approach has caused confusion for pediatricians like her.
There are some people that felt it would be illegal to receive the vaccine. I actually had to sit down with my nurses and say, this is okay to give.
As of July 14th, the Florida Department of Health reported that only 1% of children ages 6 months to 4 years old received COVID shots. But the numbers have been increasing since the vaccine became available. Comegye says she worries for other parents who might not be as lucky as her.
What if you don't have either the funds or the transportation to drive somewhere, even if it's within the state? And so to know that state clinics aren't going to have that is just heartbreaking.
Issa is joining us now. And Issa, you spoke with Dr. Gwynn in that piece. You said she was pulled off the state's Healthy Kids boards. She thinks it was kind of retaliation, she seems to think, because she's talked about vaccine access for kids. What else is there to that?
Yeah, that's right, Hallie. She says that she believes this was a political move and that it was punishment for her bringing concerns to the Department of Health about local health departments not providing these vaccines for young kids. Now, we did reach out to the Department of Health about her removal from that board. They directed us to the CFO's office, which is a separate office, and they gave us a statement just an hour ago saying, quote, the narratives that say Dr. Gwynn was removed for believing X are wrong. She was removed for political statements that she subsequently tried to walk away from. That's from a spokesperson with the CFO. They also wanted to make it clear, again, that that office is separate from the governor's office and that DeSantis was not part of that removal. Hallie.
Issa Gutierrez, thank you for that. Thanks for bringing us that story. Still to come here on the show, L.A. is giving back beachfront property worth millions of dollars to the descendants of the people who owned it almost 100 years ago. Harry Smith goes one-on-one exclusively with one member of that family about what they'll do now that they're getting their beach back. Stay with us. Just within the last couple of hours, the deed to a controversial beachfront property in Los Angeles was handed back over to its rightful owners nearly 100 years after the government took it from a black family. That moment, you're about to see it on your screen here. We're talking about a place called Bruce's Beach. It's become a hugely important place. There's a huge spotlight on it now, right? It's worth millions of dollars. It's now going to the legal heirs of Willa and Charles Bruce, who bought it back in 1912. They used the land to build a resort that other black families could visit without having to deal with racism. That was before the government took the land. So today's a moment that was years in the making, especially after last month's vote with L.A. County putting in place a plan to right the wrongs of the past, as they put it. One of the Bruce's descendants talked exclusively with our own Harry Smith about how, in their words, bittersweet this victory is for the family. for the Today Show.
Perfectly located on the Strand in Manhattan Beach is the Los Angeles County Lifeguard Training Center. 100 years ago, the area was barely developed, but on this small sliver of sand was a kind of paradise where black Californians were welcome on what was called Bruce's Beach.
There were 2 beaches in our area, this one and Santa Monica, Inkwell Beach.
Janice Hahn is a Los Angeles County supervisor.
And so people don't understand that they weren't even allowed. They were arrested in other places for swimming in the ocean.
There was lodging, a cafe, and a dance hall, all too much for local whites in a Los Angeles unashamed of its embrace of the Ku Klux Klan.
So the fact that they were allowed to set up this resort, and then the Ku Klux Klan so hated what they were doing because it was successful.
Charles and Willa Bruce bought the land with money he earned as a cook on a Pullman car. They knew early on there'd be trouble. Willa Bruce told the Los Angeles Times in 1912, "Wherever we have tried to buy land for a beach resort, we have been refused. But I own this land, and I am going to keep it." But the Manhattan Beach Council thought otherwise. They condemned the property through eminent domain, claiming the area was needed for a park. The land sat vacant, unused, for decades.
What does it mean to you now, though, then, to know that it's coming back to the Bruce family?
Well, it's joyful, and it's a bittersweet moment. I mean, we have generations that build up generational wealth, and then everything stopped at Manhattan Beach. And then this family went through several tragedies.
Derek Bruce is a great-grandson of Charles and Willa Bruce.
That's what our family has gone through, is a grave wounding.
The summer of 2020 was a season of awakening and reckoning. And during that time, returning the property to the Bruce family became a rallying cry, an act of reparation.
As reparations and restitution cases go, this one probably will be the easiest to accomplish because we have the records that show the actual piece of property that was bought by Willa and Charles Bruce. And then we have the records of the harassment that they went through. The Ku Klux Klan actually trying to run them out of town. And we know when that didn't work, the city decided to use eminent domain and take this property from them.
Does this feel like justice to you?
In a way it does. In a way it does feel like justice because the hardship that our family went through generations, and it just echoed and reverberated without us really knowing why.
The Bruce descendants will lease the land back to the county for now. The county has offered to buy it back from them for $20 million.
Did you ever look at this spot and say, what could have, what should have, dream about what?
I took my wife here one time and my kids, and you know, we just kind of just basked in the thought what could have been, but it was such a fleeting moment and so unrealistic that we didn't really dwell on it.
Yeah,
yes,
I bet. And
although
here,
look at where we are now, so I guess it wasn't that unrealistic after all.
Derek encountered a few locals who offered their congratulations, a sentiment not shared by all.
What are folks around here thinking and feeling about all of this?
Some people will come up to me when I'm here in Manhattan Beach and thank me for what I'm doing, but we do know that the current city council has refused to apologize to the Bruces for what happened 100 years ago.
Perhaps a chat with a new local landlord would help.
Generations ago, the folks here were not very kind to your grandparents.
Yes, but we have to learn from others' mistakes, and we have to understand that there is a path forward to human beings treating each other with respect and dignity. It's something that we should reach forward together.
Our Harry Smith on that one. That does it for us this hour here on NBC News Now. As always, I'm glad you're joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow. More coverage picks up right now.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.